Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's got a full house. Good to see some smiling faces here. We've got a lot on our agenda, and so we're going to get started by having an invocation by Mayor Pro Tem Hinkle. Once he's complete, then we will have our Pledge of Allegiance. At that time, I would ask that you please stand as we recite our pledge. But first, we'll have our invocation by Councilman Hinkle, Mayor Pro Tem Hinkle.
We can bow our heads. Lord, please bless this meeting this evening. Guide and direct this council in everything we say and do, and that we represent the people of Troutman very well, and that long-term interests of this city are well taken care of and in the best interest of our citizens. Please be with those who are not able to be with us this evening. Please bring them back to us as thy will dictates, and allow them to express all of their opinions to us, allow us on how to guide this town. We ask that you be with the people this evening who are about to receive awards, or Citizen of the Year, Organization of the Year, and thank them for their service to the town, to the community. We appreciate each and every one of them. We ask this and anything else that you deem we may need. We ask that you bless us and be with us. In Christ's name I pray. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for your participation. Thank you, Mr. Hinkle, for the invocation. Council, at this time, you have your packets and your agenda. I'll ask if there are any additions or motions to be made regarding changes to the agenda. Staff? Okay, great. Can I get a motion to adopt our agenda as presented?
I make that motion, we adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made, received a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. We will follow along our agenda. The next item are our consent agenda items. The first 4 items are minutes from some of our April meetings. We've got a DRB approval for building elevation for a commercial building, a second one for a Food Lion approval elevation and multi-tenant shopping center, as well as a Troutman personnel policy, a recodification of the Code of Ordinances, and a Parks and Rec concession stand policy. Are there any consent items that need to be added or changed? If not, we will approve these with one motion unless a council member asks to make a change. So,
Mr. Mayor, I will not make that motion yet. I do just have a question. and that may precede me asking that this be pulled from agenda and discussed separately. But you had requested agenda briefing that a no alcohol clause be added to the concession stand policy, and I don't see that on here, sir.
Okay. We missed that one.
We checked with legal, and because it's already an existing policy, it didn't need to be redlined in another policy. That's the only reason it was not added.
But we had discussed that, and
But it is in section D.
perhaps that since this was a separate policy for a concessionaire to read it, that it would spell it out.
I
Kind
think
of
I
double
read-
check, if you will.
I think I read that in section, Article D. It says
Okay.
alcohol selling and nor possession is strictly prohibited.
Okay.
It
all
did
right,
get
all
added.
right. It did get in there. then.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to make sure.
Okay.
I did not see it initially.
Thank you.
We had set it down at the last item, so that's fine. I'm fine with the agenda as, or the consent agenda is presented.
So that's a motion to approve the agenda, consent agenda as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. We will move right along. The next item on our agenda is recognitions and presentations. First item, I'll turn it over to Mr. Wyatt on our Town of Troutman Employee of the Month.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. At this time, I'll turn it over to Public Works Director Adam Lippert. If he'll come forward.
All right. How are y'all?
Great.
So somehow Austin Wall is our Employee of the Month for April. Austin has been with the town since 2008. Has provided questionable service, utilizing an elementary level lackluster skill set at best, but he always tries really hard. So, if any of you know Austin as I do, you know he would instead take a beating than be the center of attention like this. And Austin and my relationship is the type of mutual understanding and respect that mostly trash talking banter and very little, if any, compliments or thank yous. But just for this occasion, I'll step out of our standard mode of communication and let him know how good of a job he's doing. Maintaining an entire water and sewer system takes much effort. It can sometimes be overwhelming to ensure multiple strict compliance measures and timelines for completion are met for the state while still keeping up with all the day-to-day tasks required. When Austin was promoted last year to our Public Works Field Supervisor position, I knew my vision for the role and how it would increase departmental effectiveness and efficiency when appropriately performed. I also knew Austin had skills and leadership abilities necessary for the job. However, I assumed it would be a process that would take time before the benefits were felt. However, but I was surprised at just how fast Austin came in and started ensuring that everyday tasks, scheduling, and leading a departmental crew effectively in the field were being completed as I intended. It lightened the load for me, allowing me more time to continue focusing on and updating all departmental procedures and overall compliance measures put into place for our system's continued success. Many of the essential things that keep these systems running and the town out of compliance and environmental trouble happen behind the scenes and with little to no knowledge of what it takes to ensure vital services such as water and sewer continue to the citizens of Troutman. Austin is a massive part of that success. Austin continues to grow in his abilities and is a vital asset to the Public Works Department and the town. I want to thank him for his long dedication to the town and its citizens. I encourage him to keep up the great work. All your guys, and I appreciate you. Now, Austin, I want to get back to normal communication with you. All of this is a lie. I'm actually not sure what you've done or accomplished in any aspect of the job, but we'll keep absorbing your lackluster performance and hope you can eventually figure out how to become an actual asset to the Public Works Department and the town. We will continue to pray for Brene and the kids. Godspeed. Come on up, Austin. Appreciate you, dude. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's your certificate and my well-made speech. So, there you go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
I echo what Public Works Director Lippert said. The first few months Austin was in his role, I was very nice and complimentary as town managers are supposed to be, and I kept getting these weird facial expressions from him. Once I started speaking in duck language and being a little more harsh, he started responding a lot more with smiles and more favorably. If you will go up to the council so they could And Lou's gonna get pictures with you all.
Now, if you're gonna call him lazy, you should have put different pictures.
While it sounds like, Austin, you've done a great job, and we appreciate your continued support for the town. I know it may be a challenge working with Mr. Lippard, but keep trying. So, yeah. I figured I had the microphone, I could help you out a little bit. The next item on our agenda is presentation of the 2023 Town of Troutman Citizen of the Year Award to Miss Mary Starks. I will start by reading a little bit about Ms. Starks. She graduated from Livingstone College with a degree in biology in 1961. She left our area and moved to New York to work for the New York Housing Authority, where she eventually was promoted to the Director of Community Services. Prior to her retirement, she received numerous awards from the City of New York and also owned her own apartment building in the city as well. When she moved back to Troutman, these are my words, not the person who wrote this, she found the light. In 2006, she rejoined Zion Wesley Amy Zion Church, where she has served as chairman and secretary of the trustee board, as well as director of Christian education on the district level. She was also nominated as the lay councilwoman of the year. She is a member of the local NAACP, as well as the Troutman Friends of the Library. Additionally, Ms. Starks is a member of the Livingstone Alumni Chapter. I do see some of them in the room, where she is the secretary and was also inducted into the Hall of Fame at the college. Until recent years, she was an active member of a traveling competitive bowling league. Glad I never competed against her. Ms. Starks has been an integral part of the Troutman community since her retirement and is a regular attendee of town meetings. A lot of meetings. Upon leaving the town meeting, she religiously shares town information with the elderly who would not otherwise be informed. She also drives members to the community to their doctor's appointments and runs errands for them. Ms. Starks even drove a Troutman resident to Baptist Hospital in Winston-Salem for a kidney transplant in the early morning hours when the kidney became available. Many of us realize that the Starks name is not new to the town of Troutman and surrounding areas, as several of Ms. Starks' relatives served on various boards and committees in both the town of Troutman and Statesville areas. Ms. Starks' history of dedication to the community's professionalism, active involvement in the town, love and concern for the good of the town residents, and her earnest efforts all make her a great candidate for the Troutman Citizens of the Year. And this council wanted to make sure that we recognize her. Ms. Starks, we thank you so much, and we have a certificate of recognition that I will also share with your favorite church here in just a moment. But I absolutely want to say thank you for all you do for the town of Troutman and the entire community. And with that, I'd love for you to come up and get an award.
I'm very humbled with this award, especially coming from my hometown, that they're recognizing me. And I'm certainly happy that all of my family, my church members, my pastor, and everyone came out to support me, so I'm very happy with that. So thank you very, very much. And I certainly want to thank the mayor, this council, Ms. Harris, I think she had a little to do with this. Mr. Wyatt and the staff, I thank you all for this.
Thank you.
I normally say to folks, when we're in our meeting, Ms. Starks has always been here, sitting in the back of the room, say she's here to keep us straight. So I know when we're not in order, she'll let us know. The next item on our agenda is the presentation of the 2023 Organization of the Year to Food Lion of Troutman, store 701. That too is not in my notes. I'll read a couple of things. This nomination came in and says, I'm nominating Eric Bell and Food Lion of Troutman for Organization of the Year because of their commitment to bettering the town and the people who live in it with their time and donations. Here's a small list of some of Food Lion's involvement. Number one, participating in the backpack program for Troutman Elementary and Middle, provide discount pregame meals for South Iredale, provide hot dog buns, chips, condiments, and Food Lion to-go bags for Troutman Night Out, set up career booth with water and granola bars for 350 kids, volunteer time, time and food for South Iredale, 5th Street, and First Church Nazarene. Hosted EC class at South Iredale to help students with life skills and budgets. Donated drinks and snacks for golf tournament. Donated time and candy for trails and treats, 4th of July, and Christmas parades. Water and fruit for Troutman Fire Department. Donated breakfast for teachers on first day of school. Adopted a family every year for Christmas. Donated food to Purple Heart Homes. Donated over $250 in gift cards and food to families involved in house fire in the local community. These are just some of the ways Food Lion gives back to the community and how they want to help and see the town of Troutman succeed and grow. And I know personally the organization has a focus on their vision and mission, and this store exemplifies the characters led by the store management. And so, Mr. Bell, I asked you to also come up and receive an award as well.
If you will have your staff join you up there for a picture, please.
And you're welcome
To what
to.
T. Ross said, it's our privilege to serve this community. I'm blessed to work for a company that allows us to do that. Anybody can sell groceries. Any door you open, you can walk in and pick it up. Our company allows us to actually give back to a community that we really want to be a part of, so we appreciate all you guys.
Thank you.
The next recognition I have is a proclamation, 0223, for Zion Wesley Amy Zion Church and their 145th church anniversary. and I'll read the proclamation as well. This proclamation is to Zion Wesley AME Zion Church 145th church anniversary. Whereas the descendants of the Douglas Young and Robert Bob White families organized Zion Wesley AME Zion Church in 1878 in the Old Rock Hill section of East Mumbo Road, and later erected a gathering place known as the Brush Harbor, again relocated on a tract of land known as the Lake Area. And the first Zion Wesley AME Zion Church was built in 1878 with Bishop J.W. Hood presiding, and rebuilt in 1919. In 1947, under the leadership of Reverend R.M. Mitchell Jr., the church was constructed on its present site. And Zion Wesley AME Zion Church, and under the leadership of Reverend David T. Smalls, is celebrating its 145th church anniversary of spiritual needs and outreach efforts of its members and the community. And for the past 145 years, the mission and activities of Zion Wesley AME Zion Church have been maintained by its committed and dedicated members who have given so unselfishly to see the work of the church continue to grow and thrive. And throughout the history, Zion Wesley AME Zion Church has served the community, renovating and enhancing the ministries as well as the church building to accommodate the needs of the church, families, friends, and neighbors. And on this commemoration of this 145th anniversary, Zion Wesley AME Zion Church remains committed to continue nurturing the faith of its members and to share the gospel message with our surrounding communities. And I now, therefore, T. Ross Young, Jr., Mayor of the town of Troutman, on behalf of this town council, hereby honor and congratulate Zion Wesley AME Zion Church being deemed a historical landmark on its 145th anniversary, and proclaim Sunday, May 28th, 2023, as Zion Wesley AME Zion Church Day within the town of Troutman, and urge all citizens to pay tribute to this special day. And I've signed it. I will also be at the church to present it to them on that day. And so I will ask Pastor to come up and we'll present it.
If you will have the rest of your church members come up that would like to also, Reverend.
Zion Wesley, can you please come? And my lovely wife, the First Lady of the church. We believe that the church is a community within the community. And if the church can't help enhance the community, not only the members, and make the community a better place to live, then what would we be as a church? Amen? And I'm so grateful, especially to those in Zion Wesley, and you all heard about Mother Mary. Each pastor that come in, she let you know where she stands, what you can do, what you can't do. And as long as you listen to her, she's in your corner. She won't let nobody steer you wrong. And I'm so proud to be the pastor for the last 5 years, and prayerfully after June, the annual conference, to be back for the 6th year as the pastor. We plan to help the community grow and thrive the best way we can. Not only our churches, the other churches. One of the things we miss is the day of prayer, where we meet with different denominations and we fellowship. Amen? Amen. Thank you all once again.
Thank you.
I'll be there. Again, we thank all the members of Zion Wesley and congratulate them on their historical moment in history. Not many organizations not only see 100 years, but let alone 145. So again, congratulations.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
not to put you on the spot, but being your father was a pastor also, I've been asked, was this Mr. Young related to your family by chance?
And that I don't know, but I will find out.
Oh, I can hear that phone call to your mother now.
That's right. Yeah. I will find out. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a proclamation, May 20th, 23, as Mental Health Awareness Month. And I'll highlight a few things from the proclamation. It says May 2023, Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental health is a part of everyone's overall health, well-being, and mental illness are prevalent in our country, state, and nation. With more than 50 million Americans struggling with mental health, 1 in 4 adults and 1 in 5 young people aged 13 to 18 has or will develop a mental health illness in their lifetime. Mental illness is a medical condition that can affect people of any age, race, religion, or income. It affects a person's thinking, concentration, feeling, mood, eating habits, and causes excessive worry or fear, ability to relate to others, ability to function, avoidance of friends and social activities. Depression is the leading cause of the disability worldwide, and youth depression rates have risen from 12.9 to 25.2 from pre-pandemic to 2021. Depression symptoms can impact performance in school and interfere with personal relationships. And I signed it this day on behalf of this council and declared 2023 as Mental Health Awareness Month in Troutman. We urge all people to increase their awareness and understanding of mental illness. This is a serious issue, not just in Troutman, but around the country. And our children are struggling with this. And I would ask that everyone please support our community, support our kids, and support yourselves as well. So thank you for that. The next item on our agenda is a presentation of advanced law enforcement certificates to Sergeant Jamie Benj and Sergeant Cameron Jones. I'll turn it over to our police chief, Mr. Watson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. This evening, we're going to recognize 2 of our department's supervisors for being awarded their advanced law enforcement certificates by the North Carolina Criminal Justice Education and Training Standards Commission. The advanced law enforcement certificate is awarded to officers to recognize their time in service as a sworn law enforcement officer, along with the training and education they've received. Officers must have served a minimum amount of time as a sworn officer and acquired a specific number of training points. Every 20 classroom hours of training equals 1 point. Each of these officers have attended over 900 hours of specialized training in addition to this mandated training an officer must go through every year by the state that is not credited toward receiving training points. The best way probably to explain this to people outside law enforcement is it's the equivalent of obtaining your master's degree. The first one I want to recognize is Sergeant Jamie Benj. Step here. Sergeant Benj currently serves as a patrol sergeant with the department, and he has been with the department since 2012. He served our department as a patrol officer, a field training officer, and a canine handler prior to being currently a patrol supervisor. He had prior experience with the Alexander County Sheriff's Office before coming to our agency. We next want to recognize Sergeant Cameron Jones. He serves as an investigator with the department, and he's been here since 2021. In addition to being an investigator, he also handles numerous support and administrative duties within the department. Prior to coming to the police department, Jones was an officer and investigator with the Mocksville Police Department and the Iredell County Sheriff's Office. I'm very, very proud of these gentlemen, not just because they received their certificates, but for the hard work and dedication they put in every day. There's not a single time they can be off. I call about a question, they answer the phone, if we need them to come in for anything, they're here. They're very dedicated to this community and its department. Our entire department, we look forward to see them continue to progress and do outstanding things in their careers, because I know they're going to continue to do that. And I'll present their certificates to them. No, this is for them, not me.
If you all will step up stop in front of council, please.
I am. I am. That's a good thing. Yeah. That's fine.
Congratulations.
I'd like to thank our two officers again for all the work that they do in the community, as well as their continued learning and development as support for our community. Usually at this time, I give folks an opportunity to exit, and so some people know how that works. I know everyone's going to go home and watch this on YouTube, but
I was going to share my jelly beans with everybody. You're not the way you got to stay.
thank you, Ms. Karen. Oh, yeah, she's so thin.
But I'm in the car with you. Okay.
I'll come read the proclamation. Speak on behalf of the council.
See what it's all about.
Yeah. I thought Karen sent it out there.
Mr. Mayor, as those folks are leaving, I noticed we got to keep Mr. Reed here, but because of our Citizen of the Year, we got another volunteer for some upcoming boards with Mr. Feenstra, but he's trying to leave early.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. I think he got out the door before you could finish that sentence. All right, we'll proceed with our agenda. The next item on the agenda is old business. We have a annexation agreement between the town of Troutman and the town of Mooresville. I will now open this public hearing. Turn it over to Mr. Wyatt.
Mr. Mayor, that property, for all those in attendance and that may be watching on, thank you. Where's the little air button? Okay. Is this part right here with the red dot, better described for people familiar with landmarks. If you're traveling south, Main Street, Highway 21 below Lowe's, this is the southern entrance of Flower House Loop. That's Flower House Loop that comes into Highway 21. This first parcel is a 9.8 acre tract. A developer has asked us a little over 18 months ago originally. This one little sliver here that's a little bit longer is currently owned by the Troutman ABC Board. They also requested a little over 18 months ago. All this area that's below where my pointer is our current agreement with the town of Mooresville, that if anybody in that area would like to be annexed into a municipality, all of those folks are supposed to go to the town of Mooresville first. All of the property above is anybody in those areas, if they would like to be annexed, then they would have to come to the town of Troutman to request annexation. Currently, these two little parcels here are in Mooresville's ETJ, but because of the property owner's request, more importantly, because of the access to utilities such as both water and sewer, it is more advantageous to them to come to the town of Troutman. and they have asked that we consider modifying our boundary agreement with the town of Mooresville. And if you all are so inclined to modify that boundary agreement, then they would have to come back later and ask about any annexations or things of that nature.
Okay. Great. Any questions for Mr. Wyatt? Anyone here from the public like to address the council regarding this annexation agreement? Hearing none, I will declare the public hearing closed. Council, you've heard from Mr. Wyatt. We had some discussion about this on Monday. At this time, we will consider ordinance, approval of ordinance 1423, titled an ordinance adopting the amended annexation agreement between the town of Troutman and the town of Mooresville. Is there a motion regarding this ordinance?
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 1423.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is made, received a second. Any other question or comment? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing the motion is approved. Ms. Wyatt, please keep us updated as you share that with Town of Mooresville as well.
Yes, sir.
Next item is new business. First is a annexation request, AX 2305, contiguous. The applicant Cynthia Plyler, 0.57 acres. The PIN 473-260-1287 is 107 Orchard Lane. I will now open this public hearing and turn it over to Ms. Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do want to point out that having the GIS does call this out as Orchard Road, but actually is Orchard Lane on the street sign. I checked that yesterday. This is a request for annexation. The property owner is Cynthia Plyler. It's 0.57 acres, and as you stated, Mr. Mayor, it is a contiguous annexation. As you can see, the town's current property line runs directly through the middle of this property. This was two separate parcels. The applicant, Ms. Plyler, did bring in a combination plat and created one lot out of the two. So she would prefer to have all of the property in the town limits. So she's simply requesting that we bring it into the town. Typically, when we annex property, there is a rezoning request with it. This is already in our ETJ, so there's no need to rezone it. It's zoned RS, and there's no request to change that. So I want to point out that both lots do meet the minimum lot size requirement of half an acre for the RS zoning, or excuse me, the entire lot now. It's 1.14 acres total, so there's no issues with the zoning on it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to address those. The applicant is not here this evening. She's watching on YouTube. She has had some issues driving at night, so she was concerned with being here.
Okay, great. Any questions for Ms. Hare?
Answer my question. I was going to ask what the zoning was. Yeah.
Okay. Other questions? Okay. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to address the council regarding this annexation request? Okay. I will now declare this public hearing closed. We will now consider approval of ordinance 1523, titled an ordinance to extend the corporate limits of the town of Troutman, North Carolina contiguous. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made, received a second. Any question or comment? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. We will now consider ordinance 1623, titled Amendment to the Town of Troutman Code of Ordinances, Section 10-142C, Overgrown Vegetation. We'll now turn it over to Ms. Hare.
Yes, this is a request to amend our code of ordinances, which is just for the audience. This is different from our UDO. This is where our nuisance ordinance exists, which is an ordinance that our code enforcement officer uses quite frequently. This request is coming from staff. We're looking to provide language that clearly states that property owners are responsible for the maintenance of their property located in the right-of-way. The purpose is to legally assign this responsibility to the property owners and to give the authority to the town to follow up on this type of violation in a timely manner and facilitate cleanup before it becomes a larger issue, and to give authority to the town to levy a civil penalty for this type of violation if necessary. Since we've had a full-time code enforcement officer, he is following up on tall weeds and grass quite frequently. And one issue that he's had is some people feel concerned with whether or not they need to mow all the way to the street. So this is just language that clears that up and allows him to issue citations for grass that's not being clipped or mowed or edged in the right-of-way area. The language we're looking to add, or we're requesting that a section be added to Articles 10-142. C, the language there is on your screen, that basically provides language that will allow us to require property owners to mow between the property line, the right-of-way line, edge of pavement, and their property line. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Any questions for Ms. Hare?
I have just one question. I may have missed it in here. Is there any type of warning that is given before a citation is given?
That's our typical process. We send out an NOV first before we cite anyone or fine anyone.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Notice of violation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna figure it out.
I have a question.
One moment. Any other questions? Okay. Yes, ma'am. One moment. One moment. Any other questions for Ms. Hare? Okay. Now we will allow folks from the public, although it's not a public hearing, but we'll allow you to maybe comment if you like. Please come to the podium, state your name, and sign in if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay, my name is Michael Sadler. I'm a resident in Inglewood, and there's been some problems. There are people in the neighborhood, I would say some single moms that are unable and don't have the money to continue. You know, sometimes the grass gets high. So the warning that they give out, if this person don't have the ability to pay, what's going to happen?
Mr. Wilder.
You know, Troutman taxes and everything is going up with all the development and everything that's going on. And some of the people that are already there are struggling. You know, some don't have husbands, and there's different things that come up within the community itself that, you know, and I know this on this one occasion, this lady's been sick, I don't know how long.
Okay.
And, you know.
To answer your question, what happens is typically the process is we issue a notice of violation given a certain time for people to be in compliance. The town council did pass an ordinance last year because of if we high percentage that historically have to get renoticed over and over and over.
Yeah.
Most of our citizens that have issues, as you just stated, they may have a bump or a burp, but they get right and they continue. The reason the ordinance was passed last year was because on grass, for example, if you send somebody a notice of violation, give them 30 days to comply, and then they get it complied on the 29th day, then you send them another one next month. It's a continuous notice of violation with them getting in compliance. Well, the reason that was changed is if they are habitual offenders, meaning they have had numerous notices, then they will immediately start becoming a fine instead of getting notices every time the grass needs to be mowed. While the town is super sympathetic to anyone's circumstance, and none of us in this room are guaranteed tomorrow, we truly hope that everybody has, going back to what the mayor pro tem may recall is we call the good neighbor policy, to where if somebody is in that situation, hopefully a neighbor would help them out if they are in need. But as far as the town goes, and I will use the Englewood community as an example, we had so many horrendous violators and people complaining to the town, just like what you said, but flip the other side of elderly citizens and or single mothers, but the house next door has not been mowed all year. So they've got snakes and insects and bugs coming over on their property, and they have no way of controlling going on somebody else's property. And this day and time, quite frankly, they're worried about the liability of abandoned homes and nobody taking care of. So in the last 2.5 years, the town has been very proactive in issuing notices of violation. One house, as you recall, that used to be used for a public business, got put out of business. Unfortunately, the homeowner died, but they still got put out of business. The violations continued until the property was brought in compliance. Then it was upfitted to be more modern and then sold, and is now an asset in the community. We like to think that overall, Englewood has improved tremendously in the last 2 years from what it was. There's no longer as many abandoned dwellings. We've asked mortgage holders and started sending them fines. And to answer your specific question, what happens if that violation continues? It becomes a fine, and then the town takes enforcement action and then puts a lien on the property. That don't mean anybody has to do anything at the time, but before that property can be sold, the lien has to be satisfied. So the town of at least 6 different residences in the last 2 years has accumulated over $8,000 in cost of bringing property up to minimum standards because the property owners failed to do it themselves. And that's quite frankly not an appropriate burden that every taxpayer pay when some of these are investment companies that don't live here, nor do they care what your neighborhood looks like. So that's why we had to do it. But there's no way that we can say, here's an exception because Duck has had a surgery last month, but we're going to let it go this time. It has to be fair and equal to all. I hope that answered your question, Mr.
Yeah, it
Sadler.
does, when you said habitual.
Yes, sir.
Because what I'm thinking about, this individual has always kept it clean. But because of the illness and the sickness and, no man around to actually take care of the situation, there's a great struggle. And sometimes, because of the lack of communication in the neighborhood, you see somebody's grass get out of hand.
Yes, sir.
You just can't walk up to people's doors like you used to.
Yes, sir. Agree with you completely.
So that's why I was saying, but the habitual part that you said cleared up what I was thinking.
Thank you, sir.
Because it's not habitual.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sadler.
My nephew, Mr. White.
Oh, is he? No wonder he was well behaved.
Please stay your
My
name.
name is Gwen Spain, and I'm a resident of Troutman on County Street. My question is, what about peoples that have property, not saying that's right on the road, and they don't keep it clean? And like down there where I live, is property empty. I try to keep down as much as I can, but I'm scared of snakes.
Yes, ma'am.
And they be coming out. And also, coming out Tally Street, all this, the trees on the side,
Yes, ma'am.
it's a bunch. When you come out where the ABC store is, that road,
Yes, ma'am.
you can't see. And I called last year to see if I could get somebody to, ask about who's supposed to take care of that. But I didn't get a response, but we need to get those trees cut down so we can see when we come out. And we need to know about how people supposed to keep their fields and things clean.
You're talking about that intersection of Goodman and Tally?
The trees going from,
Coming out
Going up to, before you get to our, to the turn for our church.
Okay.
Zion Wesley Road.
We cleaned that up a couple times last year and had a,
Oh, you did?
well, yes, ma'am, we did.
No, not what I'm talking about. Now, you must be talking about the same.
You talking about Rough and Loop?
No.
No, you come down Terry Street, and when you come out, you go to the church this way, and then you go to Food Line. I mean, you know, you cut through and go to ABC's store and the grocery store.
Lytton Street, Lytton Street.
At Lytton.
Between
Lytton.
Lytton and Zion Wesley Road.
Okay.
On the,
That whole section.
On the
there,
right
when
side.
we come out Zion Wesley Road, we can't see. And when we come out,
Lytton Street.
Lytton Street,
Yes, ma'am.
we can't see up that way, you know.
The
It's a lot
planning
of
directors
trees.
took notes, and we definitely will follow up on that. And please do call either me or her, either one in the future. I don't know who you spoke to last year. I can only apologize that it was not handled.
Well, I
But if
did.
they're town streets, it's a town responsibility. If they're state roads, then it would become a state
That's what they
responsibility.
told me. But nobody's seen the, you know, but when you have an accident,
I agree with you. If somebody gets hurt, who really
Right.
was pointing the fingers? But,
and
but
then coming up Zion Wesley Church Road, I don't know whose property that is. The trees coming out in the road.
our code enforcement officer has started sending notice of violations for in-town properties of the trees, limbs overhanging or being in the roadway. But we will follow up. I will come and visit you and make sure that I know where we're talking about, if you don't mind. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Any other comments or questions on the ordinance? If not, council, I'll ask for a motion to approve ordinance 1623.
Well, I'll make the motion that we adopt ordinance 46-23, ordinance amending the Town of Troutman Code of Ordinances regulating and controlling mowing and maintenance, the vegetative area and street right-of-ways.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Motion is made, receive a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
In opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. The next item, which I think we had some, public comment. Public is invited to address the council with comments and concerns. Limit your comment to 3 minutes per individual. Speakers are required to sign in at the podium and adhere to policy 51, policy governing comments from the public. Anyone from the public like to address the council on any other concerns or comments regarding the town? Okay. If not, we will move on. The next item is comments from our elected officials. I'll start with council members, starting to my right. Mr. Oxer?
Didn't give me time
No?
to steal somebody else's.
Please do yours.
Yeah, well, not good luck. No, but had a very exciting and very exciting meeting last night with Central Carolina delegates. It was the first time I was able to attend one of their open houses for the delegates. So it was the first real time I got to have some FaceTime with the different department directors, get a much better one-on-one feel for what they do, and I definitely look forward to some things coming down the pike. Mainly, the 18th they do have a grant writing workshop that they're putting on that is free for Central Carolina members. So that's something I'm very eager to attend and dive into. So I know early on in my tenure, Mr. Mayor, you made a comment about how you look forward to me bringing in some grants. So we'll see if I'm actually worth anything on that front. So.
Bring the money and
I'll do my
we'll talk.
best. I will do my best. Of course, I'm definitely going to need some help from this side of the room over here, but I know that they'll keep me in line. So.
Thank you. Mr. Harris?
Okay, I'd just like to make a few words, following up with some of his stuff at Central Carolina. I mentioned our CART DOT training for the council, 2 p.m. May 31st. Hope somebody can attend and maybe some of the staff. answer questions of how do we get things done with DOT. The other one, would make a reminder to everyone that this coming Sunday is Mother's Day, and for those of you blessed to have your mother still living, make sure you hug them that day. They're important. The rest of us, we go, make sure we visit them. I plan on going next week to Keston, put flowers on Mom's grave, as I do every year. They're special people, and 1914, I think, when it was declared that Mother's Day would be observed every year. It actually started by Lady Anna Jarvis from West Virginia. We did the first Mother's Day. So, the other one I want to recognize is sometimes we don't give him a lot of recognition, but our attorney comes through every once in a while. We get some of these zoning issues and other things, and he's always there for us and stands behind and gets it done. So I'd just like to recognize a guy that actually grew up in the same county I did, in Jones County. So haven't spoken to him much. And then the other thing, after listening to all this stuff tonight and after reading of that, is how proud I was to get to make the motion that we recognized Mrs. Starks as our Citizen of the Year. That's all.
Ms. Harris?
So I am so happy that Ms. Starks is our Citizen of the Year. Couldn't be more deserving. Thank you for everything you do for our community. So we happily gave you that award. So also Food Lion. I know that Food Lion, I do a lot of community service. They've done so much for different organizations throughout the year. So that was also well deserving. So congrats to both. And I also just want to say happy Teacher Appreciation Week. Parents who are listening and watching, you still have one more day to make sure that you get a gift for those teachers who deal with your kids and mine on a daily basis. So happy Teacher Appreciation. Thank you.
Mr. Hinkle?
Well, I just once again want to congratulate all that had awards tonight, our Employee of the Month and our Citizen of the Year and Organization of the Year, and others who didn't necessarily get an award but do a lot for this community, and we thank and ask blessings on each and every one of you. It's good to see the room, even though there are a few people less now. It's good to come into a room bustling with activity. Sometimes we come in here just a few people, and we kind of wonder if people know we're every meeting or care. So I want to thank you folks and those of you who stayed. Instead of leaving us after the ceremonies, thank you for staying and showing interest in the meeting, and some of you expressing your opinions, and know that they are heard, and our town manager has reached out to meet with you and discuss those with you, and so we do hear you, and we are concerned, and we're here to represent you, and we certainly want you to know that, and bless each and every one of you. And with that, sir, I will turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you. I just to restate, we don't get to do this but once a year. So, Ms. Starks, again, thank you for all you do for our community. And again, probably more unnoticed than we even had a chance to mention. But again, it's important to give your flowers in person, and we want to say thank you. So we appreciate that. My friends over at Food Lion, though they're not here, again, appreciate the sentiment. And one thing that I mentioned is their sense of care. Reminds me of, as Mr. Sadler mentioned, that within our town, we should do everything with a sense of care as well. And so I've heard Mr. Wyatt say, one of the things that we don't want to do is just arbitrarily just start to fine people in the past for things like vegetation, but at least give them a chance to correct an issue before we start to send fines and that sort of thing. So we've tried to clean those things up in the past and use a sense of care, knowing that, sometimes somebody may have, a health issue or whatever. So trying to at least give them some warning before anything goes further. And so I think, all of our staff takes that under consideration. Again, we, know the same thing with our police officers and all of our staff. So again, thank you for bringing that to our attention, and, we'll continue to try to take that into consideration. Next, I would, again, like to wish all mothers a wonderful Mother's Day and appreciate their sense of support. My mother in particular, and so she lives in Inglewood, and again, I appreciate what she does and who she is and has been for me. So again, I appreciate her and her support of me over the years. And lastly, the 145th anniversary for Zion Wesley. Look forward to that wonderful day that we can again continue to celebrate with the church as well. So thank you for that. I've got a couple things for staff. One here in my wonderful League of Municipalities magazine. I'm sure you all have probably seen it already, but it's my charging stations that I've talked about. There's a group that actually works with municipalities on it. So I'll share this with you, Lynn, as well. And Monday we talked about, areas in the town that continue to see, for lack of a better word, speeders. And so we need to try to slow some of the traffic down. And of course, in my wonderful magazine, Chief, I saw all of our signs from Stalker Street Dynamics. I don't know if you've reached out to them or had any working with them, but I'll share this with you just in case. I did get a chance to ride through one of our southern neighbors and see some of their signage. I think we should look into it. I might say sometimes it can be a little overboard, and so we just need to do it with a little bit of taste and class when we do it, and not just stick it up everywhere. So, again, appreciate your looking into it for us. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Wyatt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll start with Luke Ward, HR first.
Before you go there, I'm still a little stunned that one of our council members and our attorney grew up in the same. That just blows me away.
We noticed the behavior.
A lot of things make sense now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we were big county.
And you all ended up here, and so I'm not sure how that turned out. Thank you. Mr. Bork, sorry about that.
No problem at all, Mr. Mayor and Council. From the HR side, we've wrapped up our open season for benefits for the year, so we'll be going into our new. I don't know if this is even. Am I on here? Oh yeah, there we go.
Quit talking like a Yankee.
I'll try my best. But we wrapped up our open season. We're holding an employee wellness screening session next month to have everybody within their wellness compliance make sure everybody's medically screened for the employees. We're finalizing our integration of our cybersecurity partnership. We've completed a couple of our final steps, and we're going over the last checks to make sure that everything is working properly in the way that it should between our cybersecurity company and our IT. Mental Health Awareness Month that you mentioned is big on my side as well for Human Resources. Just to remind everyone that we have our Employee Assistance Program that anecdotally I'm hearing is being utilized by a number of people, although it is a fully confidential program, so we don't know exactly who is using it for what. I do know it is being used, and I know that a lot of people are getting a lot of benefits from that, and I think it's very important to always ensure that all the employees have access to well-being and mental health counseling and capability like that. On the hiring front, we've been doing amazing. We have 2 new officers and 2 new recruits that were onboarded over the last couple weeks here. So happy to have them on board. And something I know, Mary, you've asked me a couple times about culture and how we instill that. A couple of the officers come from other jurisdictions that come to us, and they want to work for Troutman. They know of us, they know how good we are as a town and as a community and as a staff, and they're happy to come here and happy to come work for us and for the chief. And with that, that's pretty much all I got.
Thank you.
If there's no questions to Lou, we'll move to the Public Works Director who stinks up the town.
Thank you, Doug. So I was trying not to bore y'all every month with the same information. I couldn't come up with anything this month, and I was like, and then I remembered we got the truck. I said, I don't have to come up with anything. So I'm letting y'all know, we got the jetback truck, and Eddie's not even here. I mean, I don't know what to do with that.
You
But,
wasn't here the other day when the truck came.
I was just astonished. Mine was blown. I said, Eddie's not here. He's supposed to bring champagne, supposed to crack it on the bumper. None of that happened.
I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
It's passed my house now 2 or 3 times. It's always real clean and shiny.
Man,
You're using
hey,
it.
that's a rule that was implemented. The truck better, just because it's a sewer truck doesn't mean it has to look like a sewer truck. So the guys are washing it down every time they get done with it, and they're taking pride in it. So they're happy to have it, and it's being utilized. We've utilized it on sewer work as well as water work. So we use it on water leaks. It's got the hydro excavation feature. It's really, it's working great. So we are happy to have it, and we just hate we didn't get the champagne. So.
Mr. Now thanks you for your service in getting that truck, so.
Tell him
I'll
I'm
put his
highly
note back.
disappointed.
Yeah.
He let me down. I mean, he really did.
If no questions, we'll go to Justin Monday.
All right, from a finance standpoint, we're in that unique situation, that unique time of the year where we're trying to prepare for next budget year while trying to finalize this one. So April, May, and early June is kind of the unique time for us, but everything's been going pretty good up front. Can I speak on? Okay, I want to make sure I could publicly say this. But we've had a soft opening for our passport office. So right now it's by appointment only, and that it's actually housed next door for the time being at the planning house. And Lynn and her staff have been so gracious to put up with some noise now that we've opened that up. But we've had that open for the last couple weeks, and that's going well. And I think the passport office will be a great benefit for the town as a service, as well as helping financially. Because they kept telling me as soon as it's on the website, we'll start getting calls. I was like, no, we won't. But sure enough, we did. So they were right on that. And Susan and Jessica are the 2 ladies, along with some part-time help that are heading that program, as well as Tanya. So they're all learning that. And I told them, I said, this is y'all's deal, so just take care of it. And they are so far. So that's all I've got.
And I can vouch that that passport office has been very busy, and that I did not know that the majority of people that apply for passports have young children who aren't happy to be there. So
It's not easy getting that picture.
it is challenging. That seems to be a challenge, but we're still busy in planning with permits, keeping really busy. I'm anxious to see where we end up this year. For the number of permits that we've issued for new construction. We are reviewing the plans. I know everyone's real interested in when the new food line's going to be opening. Tonight you all approved their elevations. We're working through plan review on that, so I think by the end of this year we'll see some movement on the construction of that new retail center with the Food Lion anchor down near the Lowe's. So everyone's excited about that. New development rezonings, as you can see from tonight's agenda, have slowed down. We aren't seeing as many new projects come to us. I came to work here in late August of 21, and since then it's just been crazy with the number of rezonings we've processed. So waiting to see some of those plans come in for review. They're starting to trickle in. Westmoreland Road, if you are not aware of it, we did get word from DOT last week that the bridge there will be widened. That project's going to start at the end of the month. They say it will only take them 30 days to do that, so everyone's excited about that. I'm sorry.
How much are they widening?
I do not know the details. We have a meeting with them on our regular meeting Tuesday, so I'll try to get that information for you all. And once I get it, I'll be glad to forward that. I know that they're also just repairing the surface. From what I understand, it's not in good shape, and there's a lot of construction traffic in that area, so it's very much needed. Planning, we're stepping out of our planning comfort zone here. Andrew's going to be hosting a bike workshop through Parks and Rec this weekend on Saturday. He applied for a grant for some helmets that we got, so he's going to be handing those out, teaching people about how to fix their bikes, and I think they're going on a ride. So if any of you want to join, Andrew will be here Saturday morning at 10. Also, third grade field trip's been handed over to the planning department. Got some big shoes to fill there. Emily's always done a great job. So that will be June 7th. If any of you all are interested in attending, we would love to have you. That's that morning. So other than that, just keeping busy working on that UDO rewrite, which now we have a lot of time, more time, not a lot, but more time to focus on that. But keep them busy.
This Saturday at 10 a.m.,
Yes,
the bike workshop is in the park.
yes.
Thank you.
And there'll be a class on how to change your bike tire and all that, so don't wear real nice clothes.
Let me ask Lynn or
These
Justin.
are the nice ones.
Lynn or Justin, either one. You said Susan, Jessica would be heading it up. And, I'm sorry.
They're working there. Tanya is over the program and we have part-time help as well.
Okay. But Susan and Jessica are working.
Until we get to a final location for them to rest, and until we have it working the way we want, the mayor just said, no, they're not resting. For them to work from an office area that is productive for passports, until we can get there, Jessica and Susan will basically alternate back and forth with part-time assistants. Jessica is actually also going to wear like 3 hats. She'll be the public service up front and admin. She'll be doing passports, but as soon as we change to the new program that Kim is getting for clerk, she will be trained and become a backup clerk and will actually handle some of the meetings as the backup clerk. So Jessica will wear 3 hats. Susan still gets to keep 2. And Tanya, like the rest of us, will keep wearing half a dozen or so.
So Tanya, will she be over there most of the time in the
No,
house?
sir, she will be here as basically a mid-level supervisor over the program, as well as her other duties in town hall. She should not ever be over either at the temporary location or the final location we come up, unless there's a problem.
On the police department end, we're fully staffed. That is counting the recruits that start on Monday and the basic law enforcement training, which is something I'm really happy to say because there's hardly any agencies in the United States that can say that right now. So we're really blessed and lucky. Our calls for service were down some for the month of April, which is a good thing generally, and crashes were down. We had a community meet and greet that was Bethel Baptist Church did it with the Colonial Crossing development, the new development to try and get people, and it was great for our officers to get out there and meet, because all of the people there mostly all new to Troutman, and for them to be able to talk to people from the town and find out about services. And we're looking at hopefully this summer maybe expanding that and working with some other developments to set something like that up at different areas. We had this weekend, the pickup kickball event, because due to repairs to the baseball fields, we won't be able to do the baseball thing we did this summer. And we had about 30 or 40 people show up, and it was a really good event. And then we also have on next Saturday, the Red and Blue 5K, still time for people to sign up for that. And that's all we have from us for right now.
I would just like to thank you all and staff all as we represent our citizens in the town. A couple things. Lynn was kind and talking about the third graders. That's one of those. a lot of things we do in town, various staff get different enjoyment out of how we interact with citizens. But these third graders come in here wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, as the old saying is, and we don't know what they're going to say or ask. But we appreciate Troutman Elementary and making it part of an annual thing. It actually used to be handled by the planning department, but when we had transitions, Emily wore it with the dozen hats that she was wearing. It just got returned back there. But we're looking forward to it. Last year, I recall there was 2 young men that sat in the mayor's seat, said it was going to be there someday. We'll see how many do it this year. As you all mentioned, I would just like to take a point of personal privilege. In all of our positions, whether it be you all as elected officials or us as staff, it seems like a lot of times we meet those that have an issue or those that have a complaint. There's few citizens and businesses out there that go out of their way, and they're not paid to do it, they're not elected to do it, and try to be an assistance to us and or help us in the community. And ever since Ms. Starks got back to this area, I consider her a personal friend in addition to the community advocate that she has become. Kenneth Reed is back with us tonight, and he volunteers on the board because of Ms. Starks and conversations that was started somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 years ago, if I recall correctly. So it's things like that that we don't know the trickle effect of what certain people do in our community that comes to light, and then the trickle effect that it has of what they do. I'm tickled to see Kenneth here with us tonight. It's been a while, but I'm tickled that you all chose Ms. Starks as Citizen of the Year. I'm just curious what she's going to wear in that convertible when we do the parade, so that everybody can see that she's the Citizen of the Year. I don't know if it's going to be a Corvette or a 1500 Dodge, but it'll be a convertible. Also, for our Business of the Year, Mayor, you touched base on several things that whoever nominated them pointed out, but those are truly one of the businesses. I'm sure they get asked thousands of times to participate or benefit some whatever cause that's there. But as far as my involvement and some of staff speaking to me directly, they have always asked to do more for the town or to participate in our events and to show that they are community supporters, whether it be our young adults or youth or our seniors. And I do appreciate them showing up as well. Touch base on the passports a little bit. And I don't know that I can explain it to everyone's satisfaction. Similar to what Justin said when he was told, just wait, they will come. As you all know, we hadn't even noticed you all. I was talking to Councilman Harris earlier today, and he said, what, you mean we're already doing it? And we did that on purpose, not because we don't want people to show up, but because of the technicalities that's required in doing the passport. We had staff that's trained, but none of them except for one had ever been around that, and it's a part-timer that had ever been around that process. So we wanted to make sure that we could be slow and tedious to dot the i's and cross the t's. Plus, as you heard Planning Director state, it can be somewhat distracting due to the regular workflow of their office because of as many people that show up at times, and it could be because young children that are irritated they're not at an ice cream shop, but it does happen. And so we did what we called a soft opening, which means the only advertisement that it existed was through the passport site, and it allowed people to do that. Currently, our staff is only taking appointments up to a week. We're not doing further in advance than that. We have had a couple walk-ins. If schedule allows, we will see to them, but several are getting turned away just because of the schedule that we have. We have a very limited workspace over there. That also is hampering us as to what full services we can offer going forward. So once we have our new location open and ready, I think, and us talking with IT and everybody, it should be by the end of July that we'll have the permanent location open and then be more promoting of the services that they offer. And we look forward to that. Other than that, unless you all have questions, I would just like to thank staff again. We get a lot of conversation about the different things that's going on, but with the limited staff that we have for the growth that we have experienced, I'm very proud of each employee that we got and the service that we're turning for our citizens.
Great, thank you. I do have a couple of quick questions.
Yes, sir.
Actually, more of a comment. How many bike racks did Andrew get put up?
It was 5 that was donated, or was it 6? 5.
Okay.
5 donated. We, he got the racks donated, went and picked them up, and 1 bicycle mechanic station is what I would call it, where it has air and it has the tools attached that if somebody had a bike issue that they could, if they're knowledgeable, I couldn't do it, but if they're knowledgeable, they can fix their bike.
Okay, good. Tell them thank you. I've seen them. They look good. So
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate that.
And just also on that note, we took 1 that was in the park where the bicycle mechanic station is and put a bicycle rack beside it. But as you all know, a lot of our employees are very frugal, but we saved the original rack that was down there. It is being powder coated now to be an appropriate color, but as we get the town parking lot on Wagner Street done in the future, it will be reinstalled there, so we did not have to purchase another rack. Just had to have it painted.
Great.
I'm sorry, I was
No,
just gonna, I
no,
was
go
gonna
ahead.
ask about those racks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do we have, was it 5 racks that we have, including the mechanical
Yes.
repair rack?
Yes, sir.
Where are the other 4 racks?
We have 1 at the end of the Greenway, up at, near the Berrien Post Office, right there where the Grannis Lane is. There's 1 right there. We have 1 on the trails here directly behind me. We have 2 in the park. 1 is where the original one was before you go into the pavilion. The other one, excuse me, is near the baseball, softball fields in that area. And then the 5th one we put down at the other side of the depot where the water spigot is, on that back side. Or the water fountain, not just a spigot.
I failed to mention the sign. I mentioned it on Monday. I continue to get really good feedback from citizens about the sign and the fact that it looks much better even than the last sign. So hopefully it's working out. And I saw some of, looks like Public Works out there, flowers and decorated around it. It looks really good.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mark Jewett was out there today. He says, give it 6 weeks and it will look a whole lot better than planted today or yesterday. But also I would like to acknowledge and thank Emily because of the sign and its software abilities. She's in charge of what by our town policy can go on those signs and be promoted. And obviously the artwork and the graphics are night and day different. And that in itself is a full-time schedule, because if we put too much on the sign, then
Yeah.
whichever first or second message becomes futile. So there's a policy that we have and a process to try to help promote, whether it be a community church event or town events, and then things of goodwill. But thank you for saying so, and I appreciate them and Mark Jewett. And we have 2 part-timers that are now helping him, but they all were on their hands and knees to improve that area today.
Good, good.
you mentioned that I was gonna ask, because a citizen had asked me if community events can be put on that board as well. So you just answered that question.
Is nonprofit supported, then yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And we get asked a lot, does everyone, and without getting deep into policy, there are some circumstances to where some couldn't be or wouldn't be, but that generally has to come across my desk. But
Gotcha.
for the most part, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Great. Mr. Reed, I saw you back there. We know you in the room. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, we appreciate you. So, Pastor, I'm not a minister, so, but if all hearts and minds are satisfied.
Mr. Mayor, in recognition of our Citizen of the Year, Mrs. Stark, and our Organization of the Year Food Line, I make a motion we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you.